Welcome in, everyone. Meteorologist Bill Rentschler, joined by meteorologist Brad Anderson in the brand new 1011 streaming studio. Brad, this is a very neat setup we have here that we're hoping to utilize more and more for breaking weather, breaking news, sports, all sorts of stuff. There's a lot of buttons here. A lot of
I mean, you're like the captain though. This is your ship here.
I am trying to steer the ship, but if anything goes horribly wrong, again, we're still kind of getting the lay of the land of this. But Brad, a lot to talk about this morning. We've gone from 62 degrees on Monday. Yesterday was kind of cloudy, rainy, a little bit cooler.
Much needed rain.
Much needed rain, very beneficial.
What was it, about 3,200s at the airport, and I had about 4,100s at my house in Northeast Lincoln.
And
thunder. I had thunder. I had small hail.
Roll through.
Yeah.
That was a very welcome surprise.
My dogs were not excited. They were very freaked out for a brief moment there.
My dog went right back under the bed.
Yeah.
My oldest son.
They were saying it's February. It's not. This
doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't happen until April or May.
I know.
Right? Yeah.
My oldest son was very excited. He kind of got Twitter-pated a little bit. He was just like all over the place because I had told him, there's a chance for probably just mostly rain. There's a small chance for some thunder. And of course, I say that. Then of course, there's a nice little line of thunderstorms that rolled through town. So that was fun. And now today it's kind of cold and breezy.
Cold and windy, and now we're just waiting.
And tonight things kind of go downhill a little bit. We have a weather alert day for cold and or not cold, but snowy and breezy conditions for tonight.
Yeah, that's right. We're watching a storm system, and we talked about two storm systems. Storm number 1, that's moved away. Now we're talking about storm number 2, more cold air or colder air. So this is primarily a snow event for, it looks like, southern Nebraska, northern Kansas. Again, we've been talking about the track of the storm system over the last several days. Looked like some of the forecast models yesterday kind of indicated maybe a little further to the north. It really is going to be a sharp gradient from people who are going to get a decent amount of snow to almost nothing, and that's where Lincoln is, right on the edge of that again, where we are talking about the potential for a good amount of snow, but again, just a few miles to the north, very little perhaps, and again, if that line adjusts north or south, will be all the difference.
Yes, that's kind of, we talked about it this morning. It seems every snowstorm that we have roll through, that's where Lincoln kind of lives.
On the edge. Living on the edge.
Yes, we
That's
are.
right.
So we'll go ahead and we'll get to the graphics here, Brad. Again, you can see, again, picture-in-picture here. Again, so we have our weather graphics here, obviously, in the big screen. You can still see Brad and I there in the smaller screen. We'll kind of walk through some of the things that we're looking at, and eventually, I know everyone wants to see the snowfall forecast, and that's where we'll get to here in just a minute. But again, just to kind of set the table. Again, this winter storm already snowing in parts of southwestern Nebraska. We're expected to spread across the state through the day today, into tonight, and then into early tomorrow morning. So looking at that, probably swath of more moderate to heavy snow across the southern, really third of the state.
Yeah, I really think that it's still at this point the forecast model suggesting that the heaviest, maybe the top end of what we're going to be talking about as far as the snowfall potential, I still think is further south, maybe along the Nebraska-Kansas border. But again, I think we do have that chance to see some snow in Lincoln. I mean, what's our biggest snow event in Lincoln so far this year? Out of just one storm, 1.5?
Well, not even just this year, last snow season as well.
That's right.
1.5 inches. So, even if we're on the low end of where our snowfall forecast is, it's going to feel like quite a lot.
If we get 3 or 4 inches, that's going to be like, wow, this is just a major storm out there.
Kids are going to be like, what?
Yeah, it's been very unsnowy in Lincoln over the last year and a half.
Very much so. And also, so again, we have the threat for snow. Again, could be moderate to heavy, depending on where you are. Strong winds also going to be a factor. We could be looking at those winds gusting 30, 40 miles an hour tonight. And that causes all the other issues, blowing snow, drifting snow, reduced visibility, impacting travel conditions as well.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, even if we just see 2 or 3 inches, we're still talking about the potential for icy roads tonight into Thursday morning, blowing and drifting snow, reduced visibility. So, yeah, even if some locations only pick up that 1 to 2 to 3 inches, we're still talking about some travel problems later tonight and, of course, continuing into Thursday morning.
And, Brad, you mentioned it, but, again, this is a graphic. Basically, for the last 6 weeks now, I've updated every day, and it's, again, your least snowiest starts to, again, you know, I say starts, but we're 2/3 of the way through the snowfall season. But if you go back September 1st through today's date, you add up all the snow for all the snowfall season starting back in 1897. Again, the 2022-2023 season has the third least amount of snow in it, just 3.6 inches to date. That is still behind where we were last year.
Yes.
Only had 3.7, and we finished that season with 5.1 inches of snow, which was the least snowiest season on record in the capital city. So with this event, we just need to get 1.5.
Yeah.
So that way we're not the least snowiest again.
That's right. I mean, you know, in theory, we're on track right now to have our least snowiest winter, and which was last year. We could break that record, but again, we do have at least a chance for snow. All we need is, what'd you say, 1.5 inches and 1.6, and we'll maybe just be the second least snowiest winter on record.
Stop updating this graphic every single day, which would be nice. So here's a look at the winter alerts. Again, this is a regional view. You can see almost all of Colorado under a winter storm warning, and those winter storm warnings are shaded in pink, and they extend into western, northern Kansas, and across the southern tier of Nebraska, into northern Missouri, and then eventually into southern Iowa. If we zoom in and look closer again for southwestern Nebraska, McCook and Benkelman, those areas, those advisories and warnings are already in effect now.
Right.
And go until early tomorrow morning for
Central Time.
Yep, for Central Time for South Central Nebraska. Those kick in, it's 11 o'clock now, so in an hour, and last through noon Thursday for Lincoln and southeastern Nebraska, the Omaha Metro, Columbus. It's 3 o'clock this afternoon to 6 o'clock Thursday.
Yeah, that's right. I think at least at this time, you know, officially for Lincoln, the warning goes in effect at 3 o'clock. We may start to see a few flurries or snow showers at that time, but at least for the timing at this point, I really don't think the snow, at least the steadier snow in Lincoln, will start until this evening, probably after 6 o'clock. So perhaps we make it through the evening commute without too many problems, and then the snow starts to pick up later this evening.
But that morning commute tomorrow morning certainly could be a little bit messy. Again, we are not in charge of any school cancellations of any kind whatsoever. I will say, though, when we do have winter storm warnings, that generally tends to lead to some cancellations. So you want to make sure you stay tuned. I'm sure they'll put out some sort of announcement tonight whether or not school is in session tomorrow. I know some schools, my youngest doesn't have school tomorrow already anyway, so I'm sure some schools might already be out for the day tomorrow. But we are not in charge of that.
That's right.
But
you can find all the information here.
Yes.
But yeah, we are not in charge of when school is canceled or postponed or anything like that, or delays or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So here's a look at the current satellite and radar. Again, it's just a few minutes past 11 o'clock. Most of the all of the activity really right now is across the Front Range in eastern Colorado, kind of spreading into parts of western Kansas, spreading into far southwestern parts of the state. So again, right now, things are pretty quiet for us as a state in Nebraska. But again, this system is going to eventually kind of push out of the Rockies, push east across parts of southern Kansas. A big difference with this system compared to the last system, Brad, we had to worry about the temperatures, you know, both the surface and just a few thousand feet up. That's not a concern this go around.
No, not at all. I mean, the last system, the area of low pressure did track a little further to the north, so it actually brought in warm air, and most of us just saw rain. I know there were some areas that saw kind of a rain-snow mixture with that first event, but most of us just had rain with the warmer temperatures. Now we have the colder air, and we're not really talking about any kind of freezing rain, sleet, or any kind of wintry mix. It looks like this is all going to be snow for, again, southern Nebraska and northern areas of Kansas. So if you don't like freezing rain or ice, I guess we got that going for us with this time.
That is one of the good parts. So we'll run you through SkyCast here and kind of do our best to try and time things out. We'll start it at noon, and again, I think it's doing a pretty good job, and I think, Brad, you'd agree, of displaying real-world conditions out there. By noon, again, it's maybe got some snow in far southwestern Nebraska, but things for the most part are pretty quiet. But through the afternoon, again, that snow begins to spread into southwestern Nebraska by around 2 o'clock, and then it just continues to spread into south central and eventually into southeastern Nebraska. By late tonight, this is 6 o'clock. And again, I think this was the time you were saying, Brad, we could start to see some light snow showers begin to enter the picture.
Yeah, I think it's certainly possible that, again, on your way home, you start to see some flurries or maybe some snow. At least keeping my fingers crossed that the heavier snow and the roads start to get a little bit slippery. It'll be after the evening commute, at least the core time period for the evening commute. But yeah, the snow should increase as we head into the evening hours and continue into Thursday for much of south central, southeast Nebraska, Thursday morning.
Yeah, so if we run past 6 o'clock, between 6 and and 10, I think that's when we really start to see the potential for some more moderate, maybe heavy snow in Lincoln and southeastern Nebraska. That continues past 10 into the early overnight hours, and then towards sunrise Thursday, I think really by this time, 6 a.m. Thursday morning, the majority of the snow has fallen by this point.
Yeah, most of it has fallen. There still may be some lingering snow showers again for the morning commute. But even if we don't really have any falling snow again in Lincoln, or if you're traveling to Omaha, Beatrice, I think there will be slippery conditions, slick roads, especially those untreated surfaces. There will be some travel delays. So again, just plan ahead. You might have to get up earlier tomorrow morning before you go to work just to get there, because things might be a little bit on the slow side.
Yep. And so then if we run you past 6 a.m. towards 10 a.m., again, maybe some lingering snow showers in far southeastern Nebraska. Certainly, I think by Thursday afternoon, all the snow has basically come to an end. Skies will be clearing out from west to east. It will be cold. It will still be a bit blustery as well. So it'll still be a pretty raw afternoon for us to kind of dig out from the snow that we do potentially see. So I'll show you two snowfall-related things here. The first is our in-house model for snowfall potential, which I think has stayed fairly consistent. We talked about that this morning, and I think it's a pretty accurate representation of what we could see. And then we'll show you our official sort of 10-11 snowfall forecast. So again, this is our in-house model, and you can see it kind of spreads snow across the state from west to east through the day today into the day tomorrow. And we're basically talking I-80 south.
Yeah.
It's going to see the biggest impacts from this.
This particular model really shows the cutoff, and this is what we're talking about, how Lincoln is kind of right on the edge of the heavier snowfall, because you go to the north, there may not be much more than that. You know, maybe David City, Saunders, you get an inch or two, even if we get the 6.5. But you also mentioned that this particular in-house model has been fairly consistent. Since yesterday, I've been watching this, and it's really been between about 6 and 7 inches of snowfall for the capital city. So I like to see consistency. I'm not saying we're going to, I'm not guaranteeing 6.5 inches of snowfall in Lincoln, but it's been fairly consistent, and it really shows, again, where we expect the heaviest snowfall to occur with the system, and that is generally Interstate 80 southward down towards the Nebraska-Kansas border.
And it fits in again with obviously with what we've officially kind of put out for our snowfall forecast. And again, that's those areas in darker blue, 4 to 8 inches. Again, keep in mind it's between 4 and between 8. Some people see the big number and they think, well, it's going to be 8 inches. Well, it's between 4 and between 8. And so that's what we expect for Lincoln, Falls City, Nebraska City, Beatrice, Fairbury, Hebron, Hastings, and then down towards McCook into southwestern Nebraska, just to the north of that. 1 to 4 inches. Probably as you get north of I-80, it's probably going to be closer to the 1 than the 4. That's
right. I mean, again, there could be, northern Lancaster County, southern areas, Saunders County. That might be the 2 to 3 inches. But again, I think Lincoln, I'm pretty sure I think Lincoln could see 4 to 6 inches if you want to kind of really break it down to in the Lincoln area. I still think the higher amounts, getting closer to 7 to 8, will probably occur as you head closer to the Nebraska-Kansas border. Wouldn't be surprised to see a couple of locations, again, picking up around 9 inches or so, but I think the average general Interstate 80, the general snowfall will be between 4 to 8 inches of snowfall. Again, Hastings over towards Crete, Lincoln, and Beatrice.
And it would be nice. It would be nice to finally get some snow.
Yeah.
Just put out positive vibes into the world that this forecast does verify. We've had several storms already this year, kind of similar, and for whatever reason or another, it hasn't panned out. It's got to pan out eventually for us, and we think this one might be the one.
Yeah, I'm feeling better that we possibly could see at least more than 1.5 inches. Like that's been our biggest snow event. Like you said, so far this year and all of last year, we never saw a storm, at least for the Lincoln Airport, official amount, no more than 1.5 inches. So, you look out tomorrow and there's 3, 4, 5 inches. It's gonna be a winter wonderland, that's for sure.
So if you add up, last season we had 5.1 inches of snow in Lincoln. This season we're at 3.6. I mean, the last 2 years we've had just under 9 inches of snow.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, we're 14.5 inches below average for this season so far, if you look at the average for this point. So we may make a dent in it. I don't think we're going to erase that deficit of 14.5.
Something's gone horribly wrong if we've erased the whole deficit.
Yeah, exactly. So, but again, this is just kind of to give you guys a heads up that we do have the potential for the snow. It's not like the blockbuster snow of the year event of the year or the season, but we're used to this as far as the amounts of snowfall. But again, it's just been a while, and right now it looks like we could have the potential for the heaviest snowfall in southern and southeast Nebraska this time around. Looks like all winter it's been primarily northern and northwest Nebraska that's been hit by the big snowstorms, the blizzards. But I think at least a snow event that could give us at least some moderate accumulations for the Lincoln area.
Yep, and then we'll go ahead and we'll wrap things up here. Just a quick look at the 7-day again. This is for Lincoln But cooler and snowy again the next couple days. Breezy winds as well, going to make it feel even colder. Again, those weather alert days for tonight and then into the day tomorrow. But then things quiet down a little bit for Friday and the weekend. Things actually warm up a little bit too. Probably those temperatures by the weekend, maybe a little depending on how much snow we see over the next 24 hours.
Exactly. You know, earlier in the week, it looked like we might be in the 50s for Sunday, but if we do see some accumulation here in Lincoln, that'll probably keep the temperatures down. But still talking about lower 40s Saturday, mid to upper 40s Sunday. That's still a lot of melting from whatever snow we get, upper 40s on Monday. So if you have a 3-day weekend, it's looking pretty good. And then Tuesday, it cools down. And we actually might see another chilly week next week with at least some chances for snow. But until now, we're just kind of focused on the event for tonight into Thursday, and things do improve for the weekend.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, we'll obviously keep you updated on air, online. Again, Brad's going to have the latest details coming up here at noon, so in about 45 minutes. Again, Brandon Rector, Ken Chimick will be in tonight. Melissa Meter is going to be out in the Weather Shield early tomorrow morning, again, giving updates on road conditions. So again, plenty of places to find your weather information tonight into the day tomorrow. I would urge you to also tune into the 24/7 weather channel that we now have on the 1011 Now website. Again, that's constantly looping kind of the latest conditions. Also have forecast updates from Brad and everyone else, myself, in there as well. So anything to add before we let everyone go?
Just again, you know, just plan tomorrow that, you know, even if we just see a couple of inches, you know, things could still be icy and slow going for the morning commute. So just kind of plan ahead as you head to school, if there is school, and work.
All right. Thanks everyone for joining us. Again, we'll keep you updated through the day today.